Dorsey, H production, this is just fun stuff.
It is, in fact. I mean, H production, the class I started in 1971, has changed. It's morphed a lot over the years. It used to be just production-based open-top cars, usually just Fiat 850 like I had, or Bug-Eye Sprites or midgets, but not anymore. They've added a bunch of cars to it. You see, Honda CRX has been the winner last year and favored to win again this year, although Steve Sargis doesn't know that with his Spitfire that sits on the pole.
That's true, and of course Steve Sargis is one of the veterans of the production category, been doing this for a long time, starting from, many, many years, many championships, countless podiums and medals and the like, just a superb driver. And everybody up front in this one has got something to offer. It's going to be exciting, and you see that starting grid, and right down there amidst those great cars is John Bizignano. And Biz, boy, what a mix.
Well, I'll tell you, most of these cars would qualify for historic racers, and I got in trouble here at the Runoffs once for saying that historic racers really don't go for it. Well, I'll tell you, these drivers in some of these older, somewhat historic cars, they do go for it. Here we have Triumphs up against Hondas, an ex-Fiat X19. I mean, where can you find any Fiat X19? No more Fiat X19 on a racetrack. Another Honda. A Honda 510, number 61. I raced against Honda 510s way back in the 60s. Let me tell you guys, these cars may be older, but they are going to be going 9/10, 10/10, and they'll be looking like true race cars. The beautiful car from Valvoline, he's had some real trouble all weekend long. He's taken motors apart all weekend long, and now he has borrowed the bottom half of one engine and has his head on that particular motor. He's not too sure how long it's going to last. All right, historic racers, not. These guys have brand new technology underneath these fenders, underneath these hoods, and they always put on a really good show. It's going to be fun around here at Elkhart Lake.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely brilliant, to be sure. And you were talking about the number 4 of Ron Bartel in that Valvoline entry. It has been a problematic weekend, a two-time champion in this category. But, Dorsey, we were talking about that red Triumph Spitfire that's sitting there on the left of our screen up there. That is Steve Sargis. Take a listen to some of the stats that he's put up over the years. And this is just runoffs. This does not include national races throughout the season. This is strictly the runoffs. He has had 9 poles, 7 fast laps. He has won 13 medals total, and he has 4 times won a championship here at the runoffs. He is truly one of the experienced veterans and a very fast driver, and he showed up here and immediately put that beautiful SBS Batteries entry on the pole. The guy who's alongside is Mike Moser in a Honda CRX, and the interesting story there is that car, Dan Meller, who had qualified back in the 4 spot, Dan and his dad decided they would develop that CRX, the ETE, Retman, and Core Honda CRX that Moser is in, for Moser, but in return, Meller would run it at the runoffs. Turns out Moser has had such an incredible year in that car, they said, no. You need to go ahead and run it at the runoffs. So Moser will be running that, and Dan Meller will be back in that beautiful Datsun 510. You see the CORE, the core on the side of his car. And Greg Goppers, the guy right in the midst there, he's the guy with the local track knowledge, or one of them, driving that Honda Civic SI.
Now, you look at that top row right there, that top group. Mike Moser, you were just talking about, in the Honda, in fact, did win the June sprints here. And it was Steve Sargis in the Spitfire in front of him that came in second to him. So, they raced good together. And Greg Gopper, well, he was third in that fray. So these guys are all good. You look at that front 5 cars, a Triumph Spitfire, a Honda CRX, a Honda Civic, a Datsun 510, a Volkswagen GTI, MG Midgets. I mean, it's a full array of sports cars. And as Biz said, some of these are 1960 vintage cars. And I'm not saying that's vintage because I'm back there myself.
That's right. Exactly. And they are still absolutely as fast as could be. And by the way, Meller, the defending champion from pole in a CRX. So he absolutely knows what they're dealing with when they put that car together for Moser. Starting in the 5th spot will be the number 3 Chris Albin out of Maryland Heights, Michigan, and his 247parts.com. AMT Engines VW. Then the number 4, as we talked about, Ron Bartel out of Madbury, New Hampshire, 2-time champ in that gorgeous MG Midget, struggling a little bit here with just some issues. 4th row, starting 7th, number 24, James Blust out of Castle Rock, Colorado, won the Rocky Mountain Division with 4 wins on the year in a Triumph Spitfire. In a Honda Civic, starting 8th will be the number 34 of Terry Boylan out of Lakeland, Florida. He was 4th in the Southeastern Division. Row 5, starting 9th, number 7, Bill Trainer out of Lake in the Hills, Illinois, 5th in the Central Division in a Scirocco. And the 00 of Keith Church out of Greensboro, North Carolina, 3rd in the Southeastern Division in his Haley's and Production Bodies Race Glass Toyota Corolla. And he is been a sort of a perennial tough luck guy. Just has some issues. He's always fast, and when it comes together, he is wicked quick. But he just seems to be the guy, if he doesn't have bad luck, he's got no luck. Maybe that'll change today. 6th row, 11th, number 2, Gordon Jones out of Tualatin, Oregon, in the Mike O'Hara BMW service, BMW 1600. The number 66 of James Rogerston out of Pearland, Texas, and the Taxmasters Honda Civic will start 12th. Starting 13th, 99, Jason Isley out of Costa de Casa, California. The Racer.com Goodyear Toyota Yaris, and that's an interesting-looking car. And that is the champion in the Southern Pacific Division, Jason Isley. And so keep an eye on him. You can't really miss him with that very unique car out there. Starting 14th, the 81, Jerry Olison out of Aurora, Colorado. 3rd in the Rocky Mountain Division in a beautiful Austin Healey Sprite. Starting 1575, Jack Schultz out of Monette, Missouri, and he was 2nd in the Midwestern Division in his midget. Alongside him, starting 16th, 52, Martin Burke out of Summit Point, West Virginia. 3rd in the Northeastern Division in the Turn 1 services, Honda CRX SI. The field setting out on their pace and parade laps. Starting in the 17th spot, the 07 of Andy Wright out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. 5th in the Southeastern Division in the East Tennessee Race Prep, Austin Healey. He had a DNF here last year, so he'd like to right that. Starting 18th, the number 80, Dale Frame, out of DeWitt, Michigan. The champion of the Great Lakes Division, a win and 6 podiums here in his Goodyear-tired Austin Healey Sprite. Starting in the 19th spot, 27, Bob Eichelberger out of Imperium, Missouri. 4th in the Midwestern Division in the Red Line Sign Experts, Austin Healey. Then we go to the 20th starting spot. Big field here, as you can tell. Starting 20th is number 9, Thomas Broering out of Durwood, Maryland. Champion of the Northeastern Division in his VW GTI, 11th here last year. He'd like to improve on that, but struggled a bit in qualifying. In the 11th row, starting 21st, number 90, Robert Horrell Jr. out of Memphis, Tennessee. 3rd in the Midwestern Division in the Horrell Group Architects, Austin Healey. Starting 22nd, breaking his own record. More runoff starts than anybody else. Now, he runs multiple classes, so when you combine all those up, this is going to be Mark Webber's 46th start in the runoffs here in his beautiful little Red Line Sign Experts Austin Healey Sprite.
And in the first time in 46 runoffs, he is not driving a red car. He's given his car to Bob Eichelberger to run. He's running a yellow car. So I don't know if that's good luck or bad luck. He's not qualified all that great back there. But it's the first time for Mark Webber to be in something other than a red car.
A red car. That's exactly right. I hadn't really put that together, but when I was corner working earlier and I watched him go by, something was going. Something's not right here. Yeah.
Normally towed by a matching red Ford van for all these years.
Yeah.
I mean, I go back with Mark Webber. 1971, we shared our first driver's school along with Bobby Ray Hall. Of the 3, only Mark's still racing.
That's beautiful. Einstein, as he's called, for his wicked hairdo, and he is also one of the top-rated motorsports photographers in the business, and just some great images. But first and foremost, the man is a racer.
Absolutely.
And it's wonderful.
And he absolutely loves his driving. You know, he's teamed up with Eric Frill this year, and they're running a bunch of different cars. Mark's running a Lotus 7 as well, which is Eric's car. Eric's running Mark's car, and a Mazda. So these guys are, Mark's been doing this since 1971. It's a long, long time.
That is a long time. And he'll be racing again. I mean, we'll see him again because he's out in F production, I believe, in that Lotus.
That's correct.
So he'll break that record again in that one with a 47 start. Finishing out the grid quickly, the 09 Andrew Aldred out of East Troy, Wisconsin. 6th in the Central Division this year in his Caremore Car Centered Golf. The 03 James Norland out of Damascus, Oregon, in the Norland Engineering Triumph Spitfire, and the 6th of John Hofkenschiel out of Sacramento, California, running out of the Northern Pacific Division. Had a win there this year in his Brabham Register Fiat X19. So a big field. These races, it's amazing. The only issue here is Sargis. He the way that I describe Steve Sargis is liquid speed.
Well, you said before
so
that
smooth.
His stats say it all.
Yeah.
And then look at what you're up against here. I mean, these different types of cars. Those 1960 production cars, think of the technology when that engine was designed compared to the Honda. You know, the technology of the parts, the internal parts of the engine is so different. Of course, these are full race applications, they're not street stock. But nonetheless, for the guys running these older cars like this Bug-Eye Sprite, you know, parts for those are not getting easy to find when you break something.
A lot of fabricating going on and specialist shops really nowadays that really do tend to cater to some of the prod community, yes?
Well, they have to, yeah, absolutely. I mean, these cars, particularly the older cars, you still have to come up with the original block. That's the problem, and an original head casting. But you know, the internals of the engine are totally different. The crankshaft's the same, but you know, they run really good rods, they run really good pistons, and so forth. But it's getting harder. These cars are getting up there in the age, sort of like me in the morning.
Tougher to get up.
Yeah.
Get fired up, so to speak. Okay.
Definitely no sprint in the morning.
Well, we are watching this. This is going to be a great race. Very excited to be a part of this one. That's James Rogerson right there in that Taxmasters Honda Civic. A great variety of cars. And there you see that Yaris that really has been sort of an eye-catcher in the paddock because people walk by and they realize, no, that's entered. That's one of the cars that's racing here. And as you can see, you get that Yaris up against one of those Bug-Eyes, and you'll never see a Yaris look that big.
That's a very good point, as the Bug-Eye was probably one of the smallest cars ever made.
And the guy driving that, by the way, the Toyota Yaris, that is there's a lot of factory support here in the sense that TRD has helped to put that project together. But Isley he's got some serious credentials, and it comes, we've been talking about the runoffs in terms of the racing here, but there is a runoffs of sorts for Solo. It's the Solo Nationals, and he's won that 4 times. And boy, that teaches you how to drive.
Solo is all about car speed and car placement, and if you can be a good solo driver, you can be a good race car driver. A good race car driver not always is a good solo driver.
That's very true.
Because it's much about precision, and that's, I mean, you have to be spot on.
And it's it's very tight. Everything is technical and the like. And but you know, well, you talked about it. We mentioned it earlier. Randy Popes, Petey Cunningham.
Yep, absolutely.
Those are guys that started off. Yeah. In the solo ranks, and that's huge. So, all right, folks, here we go. 13 laps to determine a national champion in H production. The pace car will make the move off the track. Steve Sargis in that beautiful red SPS battery Spitfire on the inside, pole position alongside Mike Moser in the Honda CRX, prepped by last year's champion Dan Meller, who will start 4th in that Datsun 510. Greg Gopper right in the mix, and we are bringing him up. Here we go. The green is out, and look at Albin. Nice move early. Albin timing it, trying to get up alongside Gopper with Meller up on the outside. And Moser from that outside looks like he may have a nose ahead. We'll see what Sargis can do when they get down to turn 1. Is Sargis going to be able to out-deep him? No. Moser sweeps from the outside, but he is completely sideways. Front-wheel drive allows you to make that save, folks, just by pointing those wheels where you want them and hoping you got a little bit left under the foot for the pedal. That was a brilliant save. That could have been an ugly moment.
Moser needed to do exactly what he did. He had to get in front of Sargis before turn 1 and try to control Sargis' speed. Once Steve gets in the front, right now they're running side by side for the break zone, he can check out on this field if they let him. The best thing you can do, control the pace. Don't let it get away.
It's going to be interesting here as they are side by side. Moser does have the inside, and now he is able to use that CRX and be able to just ease in front. And Meller, look at that. While Albin and Gopper were duking it out, Meller went to the way inside or the way outside and swept around both of them going into turn 1. Now Sargis though gets the run out of 5. He's going to try and make the move up into turn 6. Nothing Moser can do except try and run with him, and Sargis is through. And Sargis, I think he recognized exactly what you were talking about. I need to get out front now.
Yeah. Steve Sargis has got the advantage in handling and braking, no question, over the bigger Honda. The Honda's going to have straightaway speed. You see it right now as he runs down into turn 8.
Moser, though, deep on the brake. Sargis going to try the over-under and does it. Look at that. And look at Meller and Albin going at it behind them. Moser really came out of that turn very, very slowly as a result, and he's going to drop from the lead all the way to 4th just from the entry to the exit of turn 8. It's Meller, Albin, and Moser.
Meller in that Datsun 510 with a great run around the outside. That's an independent suspension car. It handles quite well. It might be boxy like a brick, but it does handle well. I drove one of those.
I believe it.
I did, yep, for a while.
I believe it, and he did a nice job right there. And I wonder what Moser's thinking, knowing that Meller was supposed to be in the car Moser's driving, and there goes Meller in that older Datsun just sweeping around the outside. Moser now thinking about it, going to come down the inside and gets that pass done, but watch the exit once again. This time he's a little bit more circumspect at the exit and able to go, but that exchange has allowed Steve Sargis to do what Steve Sargis does.
That's not what they wanted to see. This is an awkward class to race in because these cars develop the same kind of a lap time together, but they do it on different parts of the racetrack. Some of them are fast in the straightaway. Some of them are fast in the tight corners. And as a result of that, you can get yourself trapped into an area where everybody's slowing everybody down. That's what's happening in second right now.
And again, Meller getting a little bit better run out of 14, and he had to do something, or otherwise all that momentum was just going to stall behind Moser, so he had to move out. But now they are stuck in a drag race side by side, and the guy who's going to benefit there is Albin in the VW.
Actually, Sargis is going to just drive away.
More so, yeah.
These big boxy cars really need to draft each other. They don't need to be doing this side by side business. They need to get in line, the three of them, and try to run down Sargis. That's the win up there. This is for second.
Absolutely, and Sargis, that red Spitfire is getting smaller and smaller in the windshield here of Mosier Meller et al. And now Mosier actually finds himself with a little bit of breathing room as Albin's starting to play into the mirrors of Dan Meller here. And that's exactly what Moser wants. Now let's see whether Moser can just drop the hammer and somehow run down Sargis.
See, now here's the deal. Instead of popping out of the draft right there, going into the brake zone to try to make a pass, why not bump draft the guy? Why don't we push our three little sedans up and catch Sargis? That's what my mind would be thinking right now because we know how good Steve is, and you can't give him that much of a gap.
Well, in the race we just saw, we watched Zabinski and Stewart do that once they got in front of those Mustangs. They were able to just sort of bump each other and draw away from everybody. Good action a little bit further back in the pack. There's a couple of older cars for you that we were talking about.
BMW 2002 and an Alpha, I think, side by side.
Great stuff to watch.
It might not be an Alpha. That might be actually an older Mazda RX-3. It looked like from the back. It was hard to tell because these have big fender flares. They're not stock.
Right, absolutely. And no matter where you look in this class, and as we said, 25 cars taking the green, you can go deep, deep, deep in the pack, and they're putting on a great show.
Yeah, it is
and
old
there
Mazda
it is,
RX-3,
yeah.
000.
That's the number
That's a Toyota Corolla. Wrong again.
Gordon Jones. That is a Corolla, isn't it? Yep, that is the 00 Keith Church who we were talking about.
Well, I was Japanese 2 out of 3 times.
Yeah, you exactly.
The Alpha was a little mixed up.
You were in the hunt.
Yeah, I was trying.
And, boy, I'll tell you what, the number 2, though, of Gordon Jones got through the carousel very, very well, and that has allowed him to gap Keith Church just a little bit and open that margin up. And behind Church, he's not getting any rest either, as I think that is the number 24. Nope, check that. I think there's been another pass in the mix. Well, we'll keep an eye on that in a moment. Meanwhile, let's go back to this battle right now. And Sargis just continues to be able to ease away a little bit. Moser, then that little gap back to Meller, who's got the yellow VW of Albin all over him at this point. And Steve Sargis just so smooth, so precise. The guy, you rarely see him. He's sideways, but it's never big sideways. He's just carrying those lines. He's just incredibly smooth.
Yeah, and these three could really work with one another, and I think be able to catch him because all three of those sedans right there have more top speed ultimately than Sargis' Spitfire does. But they won't have top speed if they're side by side into all the corners and braking zones. They really need to work together.
Well, the official margin for Sargis right now, 3.5 seconds over Mosier, but then it is very close.
That was Eichelberger in Mark Webber's old car, the red one.
A little bit further back in the pack, Aldred, Eichelberger, Frame, Horrell Jr., all in that queue at this point. And that, folks, that's intense battling, and we're talking about 18th or so.
I said that earlier when I was with Jim. We were talking about the fact that no matter where you run in the runoffs, you could be running for 18th. It doesn't make any difference where you're running. You're going to be racing somebody for it. As we heard Sargis, as he's running away from the field, just broke the over-the-track record for his class.
H production, and he just turned a 2-minute 40.316 second lap in an H-Prod car. That is booking.
He's getting her done now. Perfect day for speed, Greg. It's cold outside. The air temperature, air density, it's very, very cool. This is a perfect time to put on sticker tire or really soft tires and go out there and get lap records. I mean, the ideal condition.
And by the way, if you're wondering where is that absolutely beautiful-looking Valvoline entrant, the beautiful MG Midget of Ron Bartel, problems almost off the go, and he has parked it and has not been able to continue running here at all. That is so unfortunate. like I said, a two-time champion, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, and one of the fastest guys in production cars.
You heard Biz talking about the fact that he's had engine problems all weekend, that they were actually trying a cylinder head off of a different engine. Well, I can tell you that these engines are so highly modified, the cylinder head and the block are matched, and you don't do them all the same way. It's really, you can't just switch one over and hope it's going to do it, and apparently he knew that. He said to himself he didn't think it'd last long. Well, it didn't.
Yeah, he was right. The man knows his car, that's for sure. By the way, I was going to tell you a little story here. See if we're there. Greg Gopper just coming into frame. Qualified third in that Honda Civic SI. I talked to Greg earlier in the week. I've known him for quite a while. He's from Sendiv, and I've raced with him, and I've flagged for him and announced races. He said, I know him quite well. And he said, we're going through way too many plans here. He said, plan A was we had this new engine we were going to do. Well, the engine builder, we didn't get the pistons in time. So then we tried something with some cams. Turned out the cam grind was wrong, and it wasn't working at all. He said, so now we're running the engine we ran last year, and it feels a little bit weaker even than it did last year, even though we freshened it up. And he said, so as a result, we're now deep into plan D. And I said, what's plan D? And he said, I'm driving a front drive car. I'm just praying for rain. That's the only hope I've got.
You know, it's so typical of the runoffs. You run your division against the same guys, and you run 4, 5, 6 races during the year. You get to the runoffs, and then you start trying things because you know you're going to be against the best of the whole country. Almost inevitably, you unload the car on the first day, you run your first session, and you're the fastest. Then you start putting your demonic tweak to it, and you screw yourself slowly backwards until you get to the race where the car won't hardly run at all.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. You just tweak yourself right out of the game.
Yeah, you can do it. I mean, I've done it. I've done it many, many times. It's just you just try all these things, and you should really stick with what got you here, to be honest with you.
Dance with the gal that brung you.
Absolutely.
And so some good racing here. I think that is Mark Webber. That's the number 25 of Webber, absolutely. So this is the battle for the 19th spot right now.
Getting ganged up on it, looks like to me.
Check that, 75 Schultz in the MG midget. So my bad. That's the battle for 14th between Schultz, Burke, and Broering. These guys having a great scrum as well here. And by the way, Sargis just lowered his track record at 2:39.8.
Well, like I said, the conditions weather-wise and track-wise are perfect for such laps, no doubt about it. It's very cool outside. No breeze today. Yesterday we had that horrific wind all day, 40, 50-mile-an-hour winds. Today it's pretty calm, very, very cool outside, perfect for horsepower.
Yeah, these cars love it, even though it's H-Prod, the smallest of the Prod classes. That still is a big story. There goes Gopper. Then here's a good battle here. It's Boylan, Church, and Blust. And Church has gone around now and picked that spot up, so he sits in the 6th spot. So having a very strong run. As I said, Blust, that black Triumph Spitfire, sits right there, and in between them is the 34 of Terry Boylan and that Honda Civic, the CarTech entry. And this battle right now is the one that's unfolding for the 6th spot behind Gopper. And you can put the proverbial blanket over these three. You know,
it's so different. The cars all handle different. Some of them are front-wheel drive. Some of them are rear-wheel drive. Some of them have more horsepower than others. Some of them are big, boxy sedans like the BMW just went through the frame. That, you know, they have to have a bigger engine because they're pushing a lot more air. So, I mean, racing these cars, you have to understand what your car's good at and optimize that particular part of the racetrack.
There goes Boylan now making the move and getting back around Church. So he picks up that 6th spot, the 00 of Church, back into 7. Just some great stuff that we're seeing here in the 24 of Blust, watching it all. And, once again, take a look at the different cars we're talking about. It's a mix of 3 different vehicles here, and they are running absolutely nose to tail.
And when you're on the highway and you get behind the SUV and you can't see anything, think about that Spitfire.
Yeah.
He's behind an SUV right now.
Yeah, he is looking at nothing but back deck of these cars, and that is an act of faith. Down the front straight, side by side, Church, Boylan, and then Blust right there. But boy, did he get a run, because when they were side by side, he got that double toe.
Absolutely.
And so now he's going to try the move.
Gets a big pull off those sedans. There's no doubt about it, particularly when there's 2 of them and they're not running nose to tail.
Then you get down inside like that just enough, and Boylan just forced off of the line he'd like to run. And we'll see if Blust now is able to make this stick down into 3.
I think he will, Greg, but what the problem will be was now then they come off 3, they got the long straightaway to 5, and the top end of the sedan is probably going to be greater.
Boylan right up behind Blust, and that little bit of battling, though, has allowed the 00 of Church to solidify his hold on 6, so he'll be appreciative of that little bit of a breather for however short-lived it is.
Well, this actually went better than I thought it would.
Yeah. And behind Blust, here comes the 2 of Jones, the 7 of Trainer, in their battle for the 9th spot right now. Yeah, Blust able to hang on all the way down into 5, but here's the margin up to the leader already through turn 8 is Steve Sargis.
Yeah, he's checked out. I mean, this is what Steve Sargis does. You cannot ever afford to let him get that big gap, because once he does, he draws perfectly smooth laps. He hits his mark on every corner. He gets the most out of the car. He's not a guy that makes many mistakes.
And he doesn't root up tires by driving him too hard. I mean, whatever the car gives him without taking too much out of it, he just has the knack of feeling and is able to drive it at that absolute limit. By the way, lowered the track record last time by to a 239 flat.
And see, there's no pressure on him.
Yeah.
There's nobody even in his rearview mirror, so he can really just concentrate on getting the job done, run every lap like a qualifier. And he's doing it, obviously.
Oh, it's spectacular to watch. And, I mean, his best lap at 239 flat, the next best lap that I'm looking at on the monitor here is Moser at a 241.6.
That's
so
3 seconds.
2.5 seconds
almost 3
difference,
seconds.
man. Yeah.
That's just huge. These cars are really fast.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Well, getting faster too. Eric Prill, who's obviously working with us here, just whispered into my ear that was a good F-Prod lap not that long ago.
No, they've changed a couple things on the track. The Bill Mitchell Bridge being gone certainly, I think, increases lap speed because you can see through the corner now more. Even though the racetrack didn't change, the fact that you don't have a bridge to hit, you go faster.
Willing to commit a little bit more, you're saying?
I think that it would help me anyway.
Well, and I think the other thing too is the fact that they've paved that a little bit of runoff on the exit of 1 there, so you're not right into the gravel. The same in 8, the same in 12. Mm-hmm. So you can run in a little hotter with the knowledge that if I do overcook it, lock it up a little bit, I'm not going to bury in the gravel. So you can attack things just a little bit more.
No question. You see those guys using that. If you pave something, they'll find it and use it.
Always, always. That's what racers do. Well, things have settled just a little bit, so we're going to take a quick break here in our coverage of the battle for the National Championship in H production here at the 47th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Subway at beautiful Road America right here on SpeedcastTV.com.
The 2010 SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Subway, is brought to you by Mazda, Black Magic Car Care Products, and Gumout.
Forget the rock. Let's roll. Follow your inner driver to the all-new 2011 Mazda 2. It's Zoom Zoom. Concentrating.
Kid, where you been?
Just got back from an SCCA event.
Really?
Yeah, SCCA has more than 2,000 events every year.
Serious?
Go to SCCA.com and find people in your area that drive fast and get their hands dirty. And you don't have to be a supercar to compete.
So I go to SCCA.com, sign up, and I can start competing?
It's that easy.
Welcome back to Road America H production, the chase for the national championship after a full season of racing in their respective divisions and some races out of division to accrue points to get enough of them to get that very special invite to come here and take part in the run to the national championships. Steve Sargis perennially gets the invite. That's just a given. And here's why, because the man drives like this.
Well, he would get it regardless of if he won the race or not, because he's past national champion, so he would be invited. But, you know, this guy wins everything that the car doesn't break, just about.
Yeah, that's very true. And usually, and the car doesn't break because he's abusing it. It's a race car and things break eventually.
It's that technology I talked about before. That was pretty close. Those cars, those engines were designed in the 60s.
Yeah.
You know, the technology is not like it is with these newer production-based engines that you see nowadays.
That was a close call. That was the 00 of Church and that beautiful Spitfire of Blust. And I wasn't sure for a minute that Church realized Blust was there at the apex. And I thought he might turn down and they might hit, but there was just enough room. They all made it through. But as a result, it is Church in front of Blust, and then Boylan still right there in that Honda Civic, very close in this battle for the 6th spot. Greg Gopper able to hang on to a 5th spot, just clear enough. You can just see him up there. There he is in that white number 15 in that King Motorsports Ranamort Racing Honda Civic Si. Just enough in hand right now to be able to stay in front of Church, and it's not hurting him at all.
Trouble!
Whoa!
Saw that coming. He missed his downshift, Greg, in the brake zone. You heard the engine rev, didn't get it down a gear, and at that point had way too much entry speed in the corner to make it.
Remember what I said about the hard luck guy? It just
Yep.
something always seems to happen, and obviously he's very quick and just made a bit of a mistake there. And we heard that big scream from the engine. And let's go back and take another look at it, Doris, because I think we've got the replay ready.
You know, he drove it in really deep on brake, no question about it. You see the nose drop. Right there is where he misses his gear shift, and now is just way too much. Starts to spin to the right and actually overcorrects and lets the car hook out into the gravel trap. Now this could, in fact, bring out a full course because he's in the target zone at the end of the straightaway. But SCCA during the runoff so far this weekend has treated those with a station or with that just local yellow only, and they've had these tow trucks go out there and pick those up, which scares me somewhat. I got to be honest.
Well, and what they do have that is great here is the gales that just can get into
lifters.
Those gravel traps, and they just run over, hook a strap, yank the car back out, and then if the guy, if nothing's broken, he can go ahead and continue. So
maybe I should have named my race car Gale because it got in the gravel traps real good too.
There you go.
Around here, as I recall.
It's a good battle right here, folks. This is the battle essentially for the 9th spot. That is the 2 of Jones, that beautiful BMW 2002, and the 7 of Bill Traynor. That's a BMW 1600, actually.
That's even before the 2002 early body style BMW.
And Traynor there in that VW Scirocco having a good little scrap here for the 9th spot right now, while we have, again, Church off there in the gravel.
Like I say, they have treated most of those with just a local yellow only, and it's because of the extrication equipment they have on them. I mean, they do get them out of there pretty quickly.
It's something I was going to mention too, that we, just to make sure people understand, like the showroom stock race that we just saw, and some of the other races here that are running on a DOT shaved tire, with tread. That's not the case in the Prod class. You're running full race legs.
Yeah, for sure. And these cars, they're pretty high off the ground, and when they get in those gravel traps, they sink in a long way. They don't just get down onto the chassis like some of the other cars do. So they're really very much stuck when you see them stop.
Absolutely. Oh, and here we go. This is an interesting battle that suddenly has evolved here as Gopper under attack from Blust. So obviously when the 00 of Church had his issues and Boylan and Blust were able to get through, they must have worked together a little bit, because Blust has suddenly come alive and has run down Gopper and now pushes Gopper back into 6th, and Blust makes an appearance in the top 5 in the scoring monitor, or will the next time they come by start-finish. So once he got free and clear, he was able to put his head down.
Made that look pretty easy, too, at the end of that straightaway. I mean, he had looked to be 10 miles per hour more speed.
And, well, you know what? There's an interesting thing that may be evolving, and it depends upon where Greg got past, where Blust got by him, because there's that yellow, that local yellow down in 1. If you get the pass done before the yellow flag, you're fine. If you don't, then you can't pass till after the incident, and it all depends on where that pass actually happened. It doesn't matter where it started. If you pass him in between a yellow and an incident, then it's no good. And here comes Gopper, got a great run out of 5, and right back by Blust.
And that's what we're going to see done, too. You want that pass to be executed and completed before the turn-in. That way none of these cars really slowed up a bit. They didn't have to go side by side through the corner. Uh-oh, trouble for the Spitfire. I think it just went off song. Trouble for the Spitfire.
In the air. Oh, boy. He had such a good race going, and it just looked to be getting better. Of course, that makes you wonder if it wasn't tightening up just a little bit. And suddenly got that little bit extra horsepower before.
Yeah, that does happen, too. Well, I saw it right away. I saw the car just kind of fall over on its nose. Hand in the air by the driver, just signaling everybody around him that he's in coast mode right now, I believe.
Well, he certainly had a beautiful race going. That is an incredibly well-prepped car that he has brought to the game here, and a beautiful one at that, and it's sad to see that kind of thing happen, but that is the nature of racing. Things do happen. Now, Gopper is under full-out attack, though, from the number 34 of Terry Boylan in that CarTech Honda Civic, and he is tucked right in behind as they head down into Canada Corner. Gopper in the King Motorsports Ranamort Honda Civic able to hang on at this point, but these two cars are just going at it. Both of them Honda Civics, just slightly different years, basically.
Equal match, though, no doubt about that. You can see that they definitely work the draft off one another, and they get their advantage, and whoever's in second can get to the front, but they can't run away from the pass.
Gopper able to stretch it out just a little bit here. Sargis, Mosier, Meller, those are your medals. Then Albin sits in the 4th spot. There's a look at the number 9 of Broering. He's starting to put some pressure on as well. Everywhere we're looking, we're seeing some just superb racing. That's the 52 of Burke he's chasing. Martin Burke, the Turn 1 Services Honda, and that is the 15th, the battle for 15th at this stage.
There's our race leader, who is in the next county now.
Man.
Over everyone. How big a lead's he got right now? 19 seconds.
19 seconds,
That's
and
just huge.
We've got the better part of, well, we've got just over 4 laps yet to go as he is now working lap 9 of 13. Lusk did make it down into pit lane, but frustrated to be sure.
You know, it's easy to pass over Steve Sargis because he makes these huge leads, gets so far out in the front that you tend to watch the battles for racing and forget that he's out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's how good the guy is. I mean, he doesn't look like he has any competition, but that's not the case at all. He's just that good.
He is. He's just. I was trying to come up with a term a couple of years ago to how to describe it. The Alain Prost of club rate, whatever. But it's just liquid speed. It just pours. It's so fluid the way that he drives this car. Never hung out more than it should be. Never taking anything off of the tires that are going to damage them. But he seems to have the knack, Dorsey, to be able to feel exactly the edge of the car without passing it into the damage area of the car and just drive that.
And not just this one car.
Yeah.
All the cars that he drives, it's the same situation. Drives in multiple classes, and no matter what he's in, he makes it look just like he's doing right now, like you said at the beginning of the show. This is what he does.
He really opened my eyes. This was back in the day I was corner working just for fun on a weekend down at Blackhawk Farms, the track here in Sendiv, and they had this new corner they put in. There's sort of this little kink in the middle of this turn. Everybody calls it 3D there. And where you worked, you were up on a mound a little bit. Ooh, that is
Smoke here.
Yeah, I think that's the 52 of Burke. We've been watching that battle for the 14th spot, Burke and Broering, and suddenly that 52 Honda Civic is starting to show some smoke at the back of that car.
Could be an oil leak or worse. Definitely smoking pretty good as he came down that long back straightaway down into turn 5 now.
Of course, the concern for Broering is as Burke slides by in front of him, as he starts getting all that, whatever that might be coming out of that car onto the windshield.
It's definitely oil because you can tell from the grayish color of it that, and it would be getting on the windshield. You're right.
Well, just to finish what I was saying about Sargis, looking up so I could actually kind of see down into the cockpit of his Spitfire, and watching, he barely had his fingers on the wheels, on the steering wheel. There was no heavy grip, and just fluid, and he'd even let go with his left hand in certain parts of the corner and just drive it, just such a light touch on the wheel, obviously giving him great sense and the ability to carry tremendous amounts of speed and momentum. And for Burke right now, he's got that thing smoking, but it doesn't seem to be affecting the performance yet.
Well, watch it. It was worse down in turn 8, which is a left-hander, and it could be nothing more than a catch can that is filling up with oil and dumping over on the header in left-hand corners. We'll see if it continues on left-handers, and we'll know. It's more of a.
Meanwhile, Moser. Here's a look at Moser, who sits in the 2nd spot. Miller in 3rd. But watching the monitors here, Chris Albin has turned a couple of laps in the low 243s, and Miller running low 245s. And Albin is definitely starting to trim that margin. As a matter of fact, he is now within a second. There it is.
Oh, boy.
Miller and Albin, and this is for the final podium spot, thus the final medal. And Albin has been very patient, and now maybe that car is just coming in.
Could be. The Datsun 510 could be falling off its game plan just a little bit. It looked loose there in the brake zone as you saw it come down into turn 8. On the brake pedal, the Datsun kind of shifted left and right. We'll have to see if, and that could be tires or it could be just brake bias as well. But
out of the carousel, the battle for 3rd, heading down into the kink. See where Albin sits as they come out of the kink, whether he's close enough to try something down into Canada Corner.
I think the rear tires on the Datsun might be giving up. He might have gone with a soft compound and be running the car hard enough now that the backs are starting to wiggle around. It certainly looks like the back is getting directional. Watch it down here. See a little wiggle again there. Nothing horrible yet, but you can tell he's losing the balance in the car. He's having to fight it in that drag zone, and the weight of the car is transitioning from left to right to left to right, which is always bad.
That could be a brake bias?
Could be too much rear brake, or he just might have the rear tires getting, losing grip to the front.
Let's watch him through 14 and on to that long climb up the Road America straight.
It's pretty good through that corner. If you feel that, you can manage it. You just have to brake a little lighter, a little earlier. You don't really lose that much speed. You just have to change tactic.
Up and across the line, and there you see Mellor actually able to open that margin up just a little bit. But as you pointed out, these cars, you'll have one car that's a little quicker in this part, another car quicker here, and he obviously
there it is again.
Yeah.
And that could be too much rear brake bias. It could be the back end losing grip. If he could soften his rear sway bar up, that would help him out. Or if he couldn't even go that direction, maybe even stiffen the front to induce a little bit of an understeer at the entry. Because this car looks like it wants to get directional.
It could also be something that was the thing that I was least comfortable with when I was doing some driving was a grabby brake. You get that one where you grab it and it just twitches right away.
It's pretty consistent. You watch when he gets down here, and it'll start trying to wag the tail, and he's chasing it. And if you're chasing the chassis, you can't brake it 100%.
You don't want to get behind in your steering. That's the old saying.
That's for sure.
By the way, I wanted to mention here that the 25 of Mark Webber, we talked about the fact he's in his 46th start in a runoffs over multiple classes over the years, which is a record. He just passed it doesn't show on the monitors here, but he had just made the pass on his old car that Eichelberger was running.
How about
and
that?
He has moved up now into the 16th spot. So Mark had started in 22nd, and he's knocking on the door of a top 15.
That's pretty good from back as far as he was mired in this pack. And that's the yellow car, and of course his other cars, normal cars, the red car right behind him, 2 cars behind him.
There it is. There's Eichelberger, and behind Eichelberger is the beautiful number 90, that silver Austin Healey Sprite from the Burrell Group Architects, Robert Burrell. And we're getting a report from the spotters that Albin just snuck by Mellor as we are watching our overall race leader, Steve Sargis, working through this battle at this stage for the 16th spot. Gives you an idea of how fast Sargis is running when you're not too far now from having lapped half the field on a 4-mile track.
Yeah, that's amazing. There is our new third place. No, actually that's our second place.
Oh,
the 510 is broken. Yeah,
something was going amiss then.
Yeah, we knew that car was starting to fall off for whatever reason, and now whatever it is too bad to continue.
Well, he was able to pull off that. I think that is the motorcycle chicane that they put in for the kink here.
Right before the kink.
Yeah, and it creates a beautiful area for cars to be able to pull off if they have a problem and not be in anyone's way through that high-speed kink.
Might have been getting too exciting for him. As in, there's 14 corners here, and he was doing 28 per lap.
Exactly. Just one too many corrections on the wheel. I'm done.
Uh-huh.
There is Sargis as he continues to work through this traffic. He's backed it off, Dorsey. His last lap was only a 39.4.
Well, that's the deal. I mean, when you get to this point, why abuse the equipment? I mean, there's nothing going to touch that car unless something breaks on the car. So, yeah. But, Steve will run hard the whole way because he's a competitor. He's got a lot of national championships already to his title, So, I mean,
and he's in a rhythm,
He's in a rhythm, like you said. Yeah, he's out there, and I'm sure he's enjoying himself. It's a nice day to go cruising around in a convertible. You're not sweating too bad today.
Yeah, that's a fact. And you just find that, as well, it's just, he's not over the curbs like he may have been a little bit at the start. He's just reined that in, but he's still just hitting his spots. And the thing of it is here's the difference. He slows down from a record 239 flat to a 239.5. The rest of the field slows, like Moser's fastest lap was a 241, now to a 244.
You see the car hasn't gone off a bit, too. Yeah. You watch him through the carousel. Not even an inclination of stepping out. Same here. The kink, very, very, very smooth through there. Back end not jumping around. I mean, the car just looks like it's on a rail.
Hooked up.
Yes, it is.
That car is. As the next time by, we expect to see the indication of 1 lap to go, and Steve Sargis, assuming he can hang on to it, certainly well on his way at this stage to a potential 5th national championship in the production classes. It's been a while for him, though. 2002 was his last one in F production, actually, is where that one unfolded. And, I'll tell you, a 5th championship, a 14th medal.
Yeah, and a performance that's just unbelievable. I mean, just to have that big of a lead, 31 seconds
just
right now.
You know, you'd almost be upset that he's stinking the joint up a little bit here, but
I was waiting for you to say
he's so glorious to watch. You know, you really talk about a clinic.
Yeah, well,
that's the only way to put this.
Like I say, I wish there was more competition for him because I'd like to see, I'd like to see what there is. I mean, right now that car is so good, and he's so good. He's, maybe he's only running these track records at 8/10. I don't know.
Yeah. Oy.
Yeah, it's right.
And the thing is of course, now, then, of course, you have to go through tech and the like. And when you see somebody who's got this kind of a margin and checking out, but he's never had an issue there. I mean, he's just that good. You know, the cars honestly
really
are prepped to the absolute perfect degree. And Bart made a comment earlier. You've said it to me before. Is you win a lot of these races before you even get to the track with the preparation of the car. The drivers then got to do the job. And this car, when they show up, all of his cars are absolutely spot on.
You look at it. I mean, it's yes, he's a really good driver, but that car has not moved on the racetrack one bit. Not in the brake zone, not in any corner. Look, it just tracks right off the corner, like it's on a rail. So I mean, that's as good as you're going to get.
Interesting, you watch him, the tremendous success he's had in the production classes over the years. He truly is a gifted driver. You wonder, why didn't he try something else? Just step up, try it like, Lawrence Loshak stepping from E-Prod into DSR just to see. And I think Steve just loves what he's doing.
Yep.
He's a hobbyist and he loves the old production cars.
And without anybody to push him, like I said before, it's hard to assess where in the element he is right now. I'd like to see him in a much more powerful car, and see how. Obviously, he's got great feel for car control and for cars because it keeps that car straight all the time.
Yep, just absolutely phenomenal to watch. Not spectacular, but he is spectacular if you understand the value of being able to carry that kind of speed and be that smooth doing it and not damage tires, not use stuff up. And the guy is really almost unparalleled at that in this form of racing. Warren Stillwell, remember the old spec racer? He had the ability, a guy named Dave Daugherty, who put together a bunch of showroom stock championships where, again, momentum. There are a few that have come through, but none have really been put together the longevity here of Steve Sargis. And one more turn and a 5th national championship in the production category, but the first in 8 years for this gentleman, Steve Sargis, making the climb up the hill here at Road America. Underneath the Bucyrus Bridge, the double checkers are waving, and Steve Sargis, once again, and for the 5th time, is champion in H production. And there's Mosier working through some lap traffic down through the kink. There's your margin, 1st to 2nd.
Yeah, that's a long margin, I'd say. A little tire smoke back there. That's a straightaway length and a half of another one, I think. Well, probably more than that.
And it's interesting. I mean, Mosier won the sprints over Sargis. And Sargis, obviously, they went back, did some homework. And they came back and they put together an absolutely brilliant run. Mosier, nonetheless, is going to bring home a silver medal in the ETE Remen Core Goodyear tired Honda CRX. Here he comes under the checkers. Beautiful drive by Mosier. The battle for 3rd, Albin and Gopper had been putting together a good one, and let's see exactly how that one plays out. Bit of a margin there as well, and Chris Albin will swing by and picks up that 3rd and final medal, the final step on the podium. And once he got it on Greg Gopper, Albin was able to open it up, but I wonder if finally that old motor in Gopper's car, if it didn't just start to soften up, because he's just really slowed down. Let's see if he can hang on. He does. He just crosses now in the 4th spot, but he lost a lot.
This man didn't lose anything.
His last lap, he ran a 240.
Yeah, that's the amazing
240 flat, and the last lap by Moser was a 244. So pretty clearly he had him covered. And here is the Toyota Yaris.
There's your egg.
There. Up and through, interesting story for that machine. That is, again, Jason Isley. Started in the 13th spot. And that number 9 currently running in 8th. So he made up certainly a few spots. A couple cars in front dropped out, but he also got around a few and the like. Interesting to see the direction that the evolution, as we said, of the prod classes, and obviously you've still got that old technology in it. And clearly, as Sargis showed, it runs just fine. Thank you. Turned out right, but also there, you're starting to blend some more late model stuff into these categories. Partly because, as you said, it's tough to get car parts for these, and eventually some of these cars are just not going to be able to get the parts anymore.
Yeah, I mean, 30-year-old race cars, they just don't make the things that those cars have. And like I said, the cylinder heads and the blocks and so things are what you run out of. Suspensions and all that, like you said, are all fabricated. So, I mean, the race car itself, you can keep fixing things on it, but sooner or later you're going to run out of driveline parts.
And by the way, our Weber update, he started, as we said, in the 22nd spot, finishes 13th. Mark Webber does in his 46th runoff start. So congratulations to Mark. Nicely done, as always.
So do you think he's going to paint all the rest of his cars yellow now?
Well, he's the car he's running in F-Rod's yellow. So,
yeah, maybe
if he has success there, we'll see what happens. There he is. And we're getting a report that he may well be in consideration, if not winning, the Sunoco Hard Charger Award for biggest climb from where you qualified to where you finished. So good weekend there. But there is the man, Steve Sargis, 5th national championship, 14th medal. By the way, is he had the gum-out pole. We didn't really give him credit. It was his 9th pole in his runoffs career as well. So just a fantastic day for a fantastic talent.
These guys are all going to try to catch up, and usually you go up there and give him the congratulation wave, but they just want to see what he looks like. They haven't seen him all day.
That's right. What does the side of this car look like, let alone the front? All I've been seeing is red tail lights. Sargis brings it around. And, of course, John Bizignano will be waiting in pit lane for our Mobile One winners interview to have a chat with this very special gentleman who just put on a clinic. Again, that's really the only way that we can mention it. Sargis, Moser, and Albin. That's your podium. Gopper, Trainer round out the top 5. Jones, Rogerson, Isley, Schultz, and Olesen. The top 10. Roaring, Burke, Weber, Horrell Jr., and Eichelberger. Your top 15. It looks like Church was able to, after he got pulled out of the gravel over there in turn 1, was able to get back into it and at least come home and finish the race. So good to see there that he was able to at least bring home a finish.
Yeah, no damage done when you go. Usually when you go on those gravel traps, you're just stuck there until they come and get you.
All the other competitors hope when you do get out that you stay off of the grass for a couple of corners to let all that gravel bounce out so you don't end up spinning off in your own rocks.
Yeah,
there's an announcer I know said that one.
It happens. I've seen it.
You've announced it. So Sargis is in, Mosier is in, and Albin is in, and John Bizignano, as always, is right there. Biz?
I'll tell you, Steve, it doesn't get any more convincing than that. Flag to flag. Congratulations on a great championship.
Thank you very much. It's kind of an emotional thing for me. This is the car I started out with, the 1147 Spitfire. I moved it to F. I built the 1500, and then they moved it down to H, and I was able to come back and win at one of my favorite home tracks.
Let me tell you, I mean, we say, oh my gosh, he made it look easy, but there's nothing easy about a convincing win like that. Tell us what went into it.
No, I wasn't getting any splits in the pits. I could see they weren't behind me anymore, but I'm not very good at slowing down. I make mistakes when I do that, so I just kept it at the kind of the same pace. And I know Mike passed me at the start, and we went back and forth. And luckily, I got ahead of him before the carousel, and I think that's where he had my strong point was.
Well, congratulations again. Bonnie's coming in with a gold medal for you. Over 42nd victory. That's unusual in any class. Coming back to our number 2 player, of course. Let me tell you, Mike, you had a little bit of a thrill there. First corner, number 1, you set it alight. Drifting through there, was that just a cold tire situation?
Cold tire situation, and the car seemed to be running lean. It really screwed me up, and then going through the first lap, I had it pop out of gear on me, and wound up finding myself in 4th, and it was like, oh boy, so just real busy inside the car and trying to make sure I can, actually get it back and get a finish out of it.
Well, there were 3 lead changes the first lap, and you were in 2 of them.
Yeah, I got Steve in the first corner and coming out, and that's where I bobbled it in 3, and Steve got around me and never looked back. He was gone. So second place is great. Don't mind losing Steve, but first would have been nice.
Congratulations on a great silver medal. Our third place winner, I'll tell you, this man was driving extremely well the whole time to be in the position you're in, but you had to be happy to see that 510 Datsun go away.
Oh, yes. We're glad to be in third. We work at this every year, and we're just happy to be here.
Chris, did you know that you could get by that car if you had to?
I thought it'd come down to the end, and we'd see what we could do.
Was your car in good shape, saving the tires? You had everything left, brakes?
Oh, Hoosier tires are awesome. I had tires at the end just like the first lap.
Chris, congratulations on your bronze medal. You didn't inherit it. You did it correctly. You managed the car well.
Well, great. This is the second time for the bronze. We'll just keep working on that.
He'll be back, guys. H Production, what can you say?
Some great stuff, but obviously up front, Sargis had him covered. By the way, Chris Albin, a fourth, qualified fourth here last year and ended up 15th, so he certainly came back with a little bit of vengeance this year and was able to bring it home with a medal. So well done for him. Greg Gopper, who was the third place bronze medalist the last couple of years here, ended up down one spot. Take a look at the results. Sargis with that huge win. Mosier, I love the way he made the comment about, and it's so true, when things start to go wrong a little bit, it gets real busy inside that car.
You know, popping out of gear like that, he probably had to hold it down in the second gear every time until he got it through the revs and up, and that just takes your hand off the steering wheel, gives you one more thing to do every lap, every time you're going down the second gear, or most of the corners.
So, all in all, a nice silver medal considering what he was dealing with from Mosier. Albin, Gopper, you see, then Trainer comes home in fifth. Gordon Jones, Rogerson, Isley in the R, Schultz and Olesen round out the top 10 here in the unofficial results for the H Production National Championship chase. The rest of the field, Broering, Burke. There's Mark Weber there in 13th, up from 22nd. Harrell Jr., Eichelberger, Frame, Keith Church, again, after he got out of the gravel, was able to gather it up and get going again. James Norland, Hockenschiel, and Dan Meller, who obviously had pulled off with that problem late in the going. And there's the rest of the field. And who knows, for James Bluss, the way he was running, that may have been a whole different story in that battle for the bronze, because he was closing on that and was going to make it very interesting indeed. And sorry to see him have the problems. And, of course, Ron Bartel, the multiple champion, who had the issues right off the bat. But an absolutely beautiful day, as you said, to go racing. It is cold here. It's a bit breezy. It's dry. These cars making good power. Sarge is putting in an absolutely great drive. H Production is done here at the Runoffs, and for Steve Sargis, a fifth championship, Dorsey.
Fantastic drive, one he'll remember, no doubt about it. He said it was a bit of an emotional win, that this was his older car that he had to put aside when he built a new car to run an F-Prod. Now this car is eligible. He takes it back, and it's a champ again.
Yeah, you can hear the emotion in his voice, because he had so much success in this car for so many years. And this is what we were talking about when you pile the crew in. Steve Sargis knows as well as anybody that it is a team sport, and the crew, the unsung heroes of this sport, are the ones, as we talked about. You know, the race is often won as the car rolls off the trailer because of the job the crew did. And he said, no, you guys pile in here. We're going to enjoy this lap. The poor gent sitting up on the back there, that's a cold ride right now.
He's going to be frozen to death by the time he gets back.
Those tears are starting to form icicles on the edges. But he doesn't care. He's enjoying this one immensely, as he should. They have the flag of a champion that they are all holding here as they make their lap. Well, folks, that wraps up our coverage here of the H Production National Championship chase here at the 47th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs at Road America, presented this year by Subway. Steve Sargis, your champion, with Mike Mosier, the silver medalist, and Chris Albin, the bronze medalist. And that wraps up our coverage of H Production.
The 2010 SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Subway, is brought to you by Mazda, Black Magic Car Care Products, and Gumout.
Forget the rock. Let's roll. Follow your inner driver to the all-new 2011 Mazda 2. It's Zoom Zoom. Concentrated.
Psst, kid, where you been?
Just got back from an SCCA event.
Really?
Yeah, SCCA has more than 2,000 events every year.
Serious?
Go to SCCA.com and find people in your area that drive fast and get their hands dirty. And you don't have to be a supercar to compete.
So I go to SCCA.com, sign up, and I can start competing?
It's that easy.